Hi, Conrad Zimmerman of FistShark Marketing here. We just wanted to take a quick moment to thank everyone who supported the show in 2016, and for putting up with our little unannounced hiatus at the end of the year. We'll be back to weekly episodes in January with new misadventures, new characters, and new ways to remind us that no matter how bad things get, we can always make them worse. See you in 2017. And thanks for listening.
Okay, so what did you think? And be honest here. Like this is why I'm showing you this. It's to gauge your honest opinion. What did you think of it? Pull no punches, please.
Well, I mean, how do I put this? That was a movie.
Yeah. Well done. That's kind of what I was going for with it, was this kind of movie feel.
Right, it was a series of still images played quickly so as to create the illusion of motion.
Yes. Okay, so you really nailed what it was initially.
Yeah.
Because when I sat down to write this and direct this and produce this and be the gaffer and the best boy on it, I thought to myself, this movie will be a movie. And that came across in my passion and my editing. Good, that's the soul of cinema after all.
There was absolutely no doubting the fact that this was a movie.
Yeah. So what did you think of the film? What were your feelings about what you watched that I made and worked really hard on?
I guess I didn't maybe entirely understand the story.
Right. It's not hard to follow. It's the sequel to Miracle on 34th Street.
Really?
Well, yeah, that's why it's called Miracle on 35th Street.
Okay, so that explains Santa Claus.
Yeah, it's Santa Claus and a little girl in a store on 35th Street, and he's laughing and rolling around, and they have fun together in the store at night. Right,
and when you describe it like that, I mean, I expected something, heartwarming.
Well, it is. I mean, he's laughing and rolling around, just just rolling on the floor, She sits in his chair at one point.
I don't know, I kind of thought it would all be a little more playful, but that girl just was not into it. Like, is that your direction, or did you just have a bored child?
She was shit. Richard Attenborough was acting rings around her. Like, really, really good. I mean, this is a problem with a lot of Christmas movies. You see this in Home Alone as well. Joe Pesci, really good actor. Macaulay Culkin in that film was rubbish.
Oh, it's true.
Didn't inflect, didn't emote properly. You look at Joe Pesci, you think there's a professional. You look at Macaulay Culkin and you think he's taking the piss.
It was completely unprofessional. No, I agree. I don't understand how he continued to get work after that, really.
Well, it's like they say, don't work with children and animals. But you need a child if you're doing the sequel to Miracle on 34th Street, because Miracle on 34th Street had a child. So I got a little girl that looked vaguely like the one that I'd seen in the trailer for Miracle on 34th Street, and then recreated the magic of the trailer of Miracle on 34th Street that I'd seen once when I was a child. That's why it's a very nostalgic film for me, a very Christmassy film for me, because I have happy Christmas time memories of the trailer of Miracle on 34th Street.
But I don't understand why they're alone in the department store at night. And one street over. Like, is this part of some big shopping row, and they just sort of went a block down? Did they break in? The film just sort of starts cold, and I kept expecting there to be some context, some exposition to sort of flesh out why they're there, but they're just there.
Well, I don't know why they're there. I always assumed from the trailer of Miracle on 34th Street that he was a mall Santa, or like a department store Santa, but that one was real. Like, he was really Santa. And the little girl knew and would visit him at night, where he'd still be Santa instead of just some dude dressed up. And what I remember from the trailer was him laughing, I think, which is why the film is mostly Richard Attenborough in a Santa suit rolling around on the floor laughing, while she stands there, near him.
What was with the military quarantine and the siege going on?
The military quarantine was from a different film.
Oh.
That's getting cut, maybe. I panicked halfway through the movie because I wondered whether, at that point, 95 minutes of Richard Attenborough rolling around on the floor laughing would maintain audience engagement. So I thought I'd spice it up with a quarantine in the middle, because I'd already filmed that for a different film. That was my sequel to All Dogs Go to Heaven, and then I found out they already had a sequel for that, so I scrapped it. But I still had the raw footage of the quarantine, so I whacked that in the middle so people would think, oh, hang on, now things are heating up, so they're back in the game. And then after 10 minutes of that, it's back to Richard Attenborough rolling around on a department store floor laughing, near a Christmas tree, so you know it's Christmas. Therefore, everything they're doing in that room is above board.
And it really is just that for the next 2 hours.
Yeah, just like the original film trailer.
I guess, as an art piece, it's interesting. I suppose
Right.
someone could come up with something to say about it, how it speaks to the human condition.
You're saying a lot of things I say to Dean Cain when he's made things out of paper and brought them in. And when I say it, I'm being patronising and trying to avoid confrontation and not wanting to deal with his bullshit. And if that's what you're doing, like I said, pull no punches. I came to you for the straight dealio.
I don't know, there's just something about it that's a little unsettling. I mean, length aside, because the longer you linger on sort of one scene and one shot and one activity, and you create that tension and suspense and anticipation for what's going to happen next, as powerful as that idea is, it gives the audience time to, like, sort of think about other less savory possibilities, I guess. I don't know.
What the hell are you talking about? What unsavory It's Santa Claus in a department store sharing his secret with the innocence of a child so that he can roll around on the floor laughing when the store's closed. Just like the original film.
I don't know. Maybe it's just the way in which he never breaks eye contact with the girl that's made me a bit unsettled. Because he's rolling around there, and he's not a small guy. Like, am I right in thinking he was wearing some kind of a padded suit in this?
Yeah. I couldn't get actual Richard Attenborough, so I found a man, and then I worked from there.
Right. I mean, it's not close. But yeah, the way his body twists while his neck holds position because he doesn't want to break eye contact is just...
Yeah, I mean...
Was that a stylistic choice?
It wasn't my direction. I'll give you that. I imagine Santa to be a bit more self-absorbed at points. Not all the time. Obviously, he's sharing this wonderful moment with a new friend. But, you know, it's like they say, sometimes actors just... Like Harrison Ford in Star Wars Episode 5, The Empire Strikes Back. It was Harrison Ford who came up with replying to Princess Leia saying, I love you, with, I know. Like, he brought that to the character of Chewbacca. And
so he's bringing the staring.
That is his Harrison Ford, I know.
Right. That's his contribution to the character of Santa Claus.
Yeah. Well, there was an intensity to that portrayal, and it gave it just that extra edge of what I would consider gritty realism that really justifies the tagline of Miracle on 35th Street.
What's the tagline?
Well, the poster is going to be a shot of New York with Santa Claus's face sort of over it, but translucent so you can see through it, and so it's like a ghostly figure with those intense eyes that we're going to use now. Just those staring, unblinking eyes. And above that, in a font that's on fire, it just says, more miracles, more streets, all cop. Miracle on 35th Street. Boom.
There is not a single cop in this.
Well, there was after we filmed it. They wanted to have a word with one of my performers.
We're in a position now where things aren't changing, and they aren't changing for, I think, a pretty clear reason.
Well, I think we all know the reason why.
We have a group of people sort of at the top of the food chain
Yep.
who remember a time when things were different.
Skeksis.
And they are unwilling to abandon that vision of how the world used to be in favor of the reality that we all now face, right?
Right, exactly.
And the problem is, their idea of when things were better is so far back in the past because it's reflective of their childhood, right? It's their formative years when they created the idea of what the world should be like.
And they're still around.
Yeah, they're still around.
Yeah.
And running shit.
That's the problem.
It's a big problem.
Because back in the old days, you'd get born, you'd grow up, you'd have a couple of years ruling the world, and you'd die.
Right. But now, with all of the advances that we've made in medical science and life expectancy growing and growing and growing, I mean, we're going to run into an issue of old ideas outliving their usefulness longer and longer.
Well, yeah, I mean, the baby boomers are still running most of the show. And it doesn't matter how many babies they exploded back in the 70s. They're still around now, and they still want to explode babies.
And meanwhile, their children, Gen X, are starting to creep into their 50s, and they're not running anything.
They haven't had a turn.
They got nothing.
Generation Y will be skeletons by the time any of them get to hold any kind of political office.
And meanwhile, you look at the Gen Xers, and their idea of when things were good was the 1970s.
Disco, blah.
Shooting each other in the streets.
It's a
Porn in
mess.
Times Square. Actually, that wasn't so bad. Now that I think about it. Actually, things were pretty good in the 70s and 80s. Reagan,
Star Wars.
Nixon. You had people who cared, and were strong, would take charge.
Certainly not like those millennials,
No.
liberal arts students.
Those kids.
But that's not the point. The point is, Logan Run had the right idea. Everyone dies by 30. That way, shit changes, shit keeps being new again. Because right now, the biggest problem we have as marketers is that the people deciding what's good and what's bad decided it decades ago, and we have no evolving market through which to sell new things that are good and destroy things that are bad.
I don't know how many times we can resell bell bottoms. Once was bad enough.
Yeah. I mean, right now, the people running everything, they love racist bumper stickers.
Sure.
But how often do you buy a new car? Because that's the only time you're going to need new racist bumper stickers. Racist bumper stickers have been down for decades, sales-wise.
And these people, they're just driving to church and to the supermarket, and that's it. And they shouldn't even be on the roads in the first place.
No.
But we need somebody to buy the bumper stickers.
And those jalopies, they're built to last.
Yes, they are. Well, they all buy American.
Well, of course they do.
Yeah, once.
So that's part of the reason why.
Well, we just have to come up with some way to get people to not want to live so long, I guess. Maybe the secret is to just make life miserable.
Well, we've been trying. We made up a whole bunch of new, diseases for people to buy treatments for, but...
Zika.
Yeah, hernias.
Cancer.
No one had those ideas before we came along.
And nobody heard of cancer before 1982.
But of course, no matter how many afflictions we can come up with to sell people new medicines, eventually someone will come up with the actual treatment for it. And then people are still living longer, healthier, more fulfilling lives. We tried to make them disgruntled with their work. We tried to make them frustrated about the stresses of life. But then some dickhead invented social media and people just vent.
I can't figure out what the solution's going to be. Because all along the way, in spite of everybody's best efforts to the contrary, society actually does seem to be improving.
By little dribs and drabs.
And it's just enough for us to not rise up as one and kill off the entire generation.
Yes, that's it. There's just this unique mix of hopelessness and complacency that means nothing really gets done. And most of that is because people are practically living forever. So everyone's locked in the same position. We gotta clear some room at the top. Now, we can't convince people en masse that life isn't worth living. We can't convince enough people en masse that those at the top need to be torn down violently from their thrones and their heads bashed in with bricks. Here's how I think we do it. We convince people that dying is a good fiscal move.
Like it's financially sound to quit at a certain point. Quit while you're ahead.
I'd be an idiot not to die. Not with these bonus packages. We're talking about incentivizing death. Right now, you have life insurance.
Sure.
Life insurance covers you if you're fit, you're healthy, you don't seem like you're going to die anytime soon, and in the event of your death, you've got some security. What if we flip that on its head? And we're talking about death insurance.
So, the policy would be structured in such a way that, provided you agree to die on heretofore appointed date, you will receive X amount of money.
Yeah, and not just that. I mean, we're talking about guaranteed security for those you leave behind. You know, right now, in today's climate of acquired debt, of housing crises, wouldn't it just feel better to be told, hey, when you move on, and you will move on, wouldn't it be nice to know that your wife, your children, they're not going to inherit your debt. They're not going to be thrown out onto the street. Now, I'm not talking about threatening people's families.
Oh, no, that would be absurd. We would
No.
never ever want to threaten anybody with crushing poverty, generation upon generation, with no hope of ever rising above their station. We want people to view this as an opportunity to lift their families up out of poverty.
Exactly. So, take out a policy with FistShark death insurance, agree to perish on a certain date, and we can facilitate that.
Certainly.
You know, we have so many chemicals that can deal with this issue in such a way that there's nothing to bury either. So there's no funerals to worry about.
Well, and there are all of these other benefits that come with dying a little more prematurely in this new environment of medical advancement, right? Because sure, people are living longer and longer. But after you get to, like, age 60, it's diminishing returns. You're gonna live longer, but the quality of life could be so significantly worse.
Such a bad quality.
You're gonna be spending lots of money on medical care and services and all of this. Or, alternately, you could live life, go through all of your working years, all of that time when you can be productive and beneficial to your family and to your society. And then at the moment of your retirement, when you reach that age, you get to end your life when it's at its absolute best.
It's like Kenny Rogers said, know when to fold 'em. That's how the movies do it.
Yes, right off into the sunset before it all falls apart for you and you live in an insufferable environment of no personal freedom or liberty, forced to remain a shell of your former self, attended to by others because you can't wipe your own ass.
Too old to appreciate the new apps we're bringing out.
No dignity, no self-respect.
No apps.
Or you stop, you end the ride, and you make a handy profit at the same time.
Not only that, but your kids get your house, and they're going to want to move all of your shitty old furniture out, and that's where we come in. With a new offering from Miss Kelly.
A new offering from Miss Kelly?
Oh yeah! Chairs! shaped like frogs.
We're gonna sell them chairs shaped like frogs? That's the new...
Sounds like a terrible idea, doesn't it?
It does.
Not to a millennial.
Okay. I mean, they are idiots. FistShark Marketing is Jim Sterling and Conrad Zimmerman. Theme music by Ben Rama. Additional music by Alazar Chan. Our editor is Alan Smithy. Get more episodes and learn how to support the show at FistShark.com. Follow us on Twitter at FistShark for more of our exploits. Complaints can be forwarded via email to fistsharkmarketing@aol.com. And remember, you will find no comfort without domination. Goodbye.